Yo, what's up, guys? So this is Blake, and
And Tay.
and we are here, discussing our next topic for Couches to Condos. And I think this is very important because I never forget when I was a little kid in elementary school, they would talk about read to achieve, and you get the little personal pan pizza, and I would do that just to get the pizza. But this is more than pizza. We're talking like lifestyle, so how you living and just changing your mindset. And we just want to discuss some of the books that we have read over the past 2 years that have really changed our mindset and really changed the way that we operate on our whole outlook on life. And I must say that the books, and let me say this too, whether you're doing it on Audible, whether you're reading it, whether you have a paperback book, an ebook, in the technology world that we live in, it doesn't matter. But as long as you're reading a book, I think that's important. So I'll let Taylor top it off with the first book that she has and give a little review on it and how it's helped her get to where we're at now.
What's up? So, I guess the book that really stands out to me recently is The 4-Hour Work Week, and I'm still in the process of actually reading it, but it's a really good book. It opens your mind up to be able to have the type of lifestyle that you've always dreamed of. And I guess this is like the beginning of our mindset, because Blake was asking me on the way, like, do you see the dream? As we were passing through, crossing the bridge to get to the beach. And even though this is like a beautiful outlook, this is only the beginning for us. And so I absolutely love the view. And the 4-Hour Work Week actually talks about being able to travel to all these different places, like on the lowest amount that you can actually pay for it, and living it up. Like, it doesn't have to be extreme, but it's actually the biggest concept is freeing up your time in order to do something like this. In order to work for 4 hours a week, I think a lot of people would give up whatever they're doing, working 40 hours or more to get to that particular type of lifestyle. And so that's why we are in a sense entrepreneurs, because we never wanted to be tied up in a job, not being able to travel and not being able to go see our family or whatever. Even with Blake's job, he's very, very, very flexible, and it allows for a lot of freedom that he actually needs. And with my business, I can literally run my business from wherever I want to. This morning when we woke up, we had breakfast, and then we got straight to just hanging out for a bit, and then we planned what are our next moves in our business and who are we going to talk to next. And we spent probably about 2 hours on that. He handled some things for his job, and here we are. Like, we've been out here for about 2 hours now, and it's been a blessing. But I would definitely recommend reading that book. I don't really want to go into details because I haven't finished it completely, but the biggest thing that you can take away from it is just being able to free up your time in order to live a lavish lifestyle that doesn't even cost a lot of money. And so I'm very excited to find out what our next trips are going to be, and then being able to travel out of the country, which I'm very excited about. First stop, Spain. Hint, hint. But so here's Blake, I guess, and he'll go on with the next thing, and I'll pop in if I want to.
Yeah, so the next book, well, I'll share the same book because we actually both read it. She had the hard copy. I had it on Audible. And this is a little tip for y'all. Audible has a free trial, so you can get a book. And if you don't want to continuously pay for it, go ahead and cancel it. And if you really are trying to read but are on a budget, obviously the books cost less than Caniacs, but you can always YouTube a book. I think that's been very beneficial for us. If we can't find it, YouTube is free. Somebody else put it up there, so it's not our fault. So we'll just read the book. But the 4-Hour Work Week, I must say, you want to have something that's flexible. And I think the mindset is just trying to cram everything into 4 hours in itself. You automatically think outside the box, because a lot of people spend 8 hours a week at a job, but I can bet you any amount of money those 8 hours that you're spending, you aren't being productive as you could be in 4. Because I'm pretty sure you could cram it all in half the time that you're there. And you have to factor in you getting dressed. You have to factor in you having to drive to work and leave to go back home and have to deal with the family. I think businesses should be done in your swimming trunks, and you should be able to do everything online. I think that's very important. And for us, the 4-Hour Work Week, it just allowed me. I didn't know medical sales was my thing to do, but I just knew that I had a couple friends that did it. And I saw that they were being able to maneuver how they want. And I must say, pharma is different from medical devices, but either one, I mean, you have the flexibility, and depending on the company, it could be very lucrative. So I definitely think you should do that, and also start your own business, because depending on the product, it may succeed or it may not. But I'm so thankful. Shout out to Tim Ferriss on the book. Please get you a copy. That book has changed our life. So we'll go back and forth to talk about the next book, but I think this is good. Let's keep this going.
Well, you go on with the next one.
Next book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You read that one, right? Okay.
You talk about it.
You go.
No, you.
Okay, so the next book that we're going to talk about is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That book, oh my God. There's so many different versions and so many different editions, but that book is a phenomenal book. I don't even know where to start. Wow. It's because I use it everywhere I go. Oh my goodness. Okay, so even at the hotel. So obviously I didn't have enough money to check into the hotel. Couches to condos, hashtag. I didn't realize this was been a great learning experience for me too. Thank you. The water came back. I didn't realize how important it was to have a higher credit limit, because I have a secured card, but it only has 3 G's on it, and so if you're traveling a lot, the hotels hold your card for incidental fee, which is the room cost plus another $2 plus another $20, right? And by that being the case, there's nothing you can do with that hold, and they'll hold it for 5 to 10 business days. So if you travel next week, you're in trouble. So one friend's with the guy, the general manager, and he reduced the incidental fee to $20, and he let me book my room on points. And I was supposed to check out. We were supposed to be out of the room, but I told him I had a situation and that I'll be able to pay for it at midnight. And he said, "Don't worry about it. We don't pull the cards until midnight anyway. You'll be able to check in." But if I was an asshole and I was just like, "Man, this is Marriott fault. I hate Marriott," I probably wouldn't have been as receptive. That's not how you handle it. There's a time and place for everything, and that wasn't the time nor place. Another thing with How to Win Friends and Influence People, what I love is be genuine. Don't try to flatter somebody. People can sense the fakeness. If you're like, "Oh man, I really like your style, I really like your swag," but you really don't, people can sense that. Like, everybody has that consciousness in them, and they can feel the vibe. Everybody has that vibe meter within them, and they can tell if you're being real or not. And the last thing I want to share with you is being good with names has been tremendous for me. Even though being at LSU, 30,000 students, I could probably name almost every person that I've met at LSU. I can't tell you their Instagram name, but I can say their real name. And my name is simple, so a lot of people haven't been able to forget it, but I do get some people that are just terrible with names. And so yeah, I'll let Tay add on hers, because I don't want to say every chapter, because that book, I use that book pretty much every day.
Well, I was actually going to go into another book.
Okay. Another book. We're switching it up.
So this is not actually a business book related. It's kind of like I guess in a sense, personal growth, self-development, and religious, I guess. So at my church right now, we're actually reading 10 principles that bring you from a believer to a disciple. And that's an absolutely amazing book. I can't even remember all the 10 chapters, but it's 10 chapters that literally bring you on a walk. Because a lot of us, I mean, I don't want to assume that everybody's one particular type of religion, but one of the things that he actually talks about is just having the heart of a servant. And I think this can serve anybody, because a lot of people should be servants to others. It's about how you're treating your family, how you're treating your spouse or your parents or whoever, how you're treating your community. Are you actually out there getting involved in helping others, whether it's kids or adults, the homeless, whatever it might be. Just being able to serve those, and not really wanting something in return. That's one of the biggest things we can do as people in this world, honestly. Is just what's the quote? I can't even think of. Just helping people without it being in return. There's this particular quote. I can't even think of it off the top of my head. You've said it several times, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, like, just serve others. Like, it's very important to do, honestly. So I'm gonna pass it over to Blake, and he's gonna go over his next book.
Yo, so the next book that I want to share with y'all is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Shout out to Uncle G. But that book has really revitalized my way of thinking. The whole premise behind the book is to think at a level times 10. First of all, in thinking and also in acting, as far as your massive action. And it is your duty, obligation, and responsibility to be successful, taking total accountability for whatever you do good and whatever you do bad, and not trying to point the blame for someone else, because that's something that I had to work on within myself, y'all. Like, it's easy for me to point the blame on somebody else, especially if we're on a team, and be like, damn. But you have to be able to say, look within yourself and say, look, I'm totally responsible, and examine yourself, because if you keep blaming someone else, you're giving them the power on why you're not succeeding, and you need to take total control of that. And just thinking of, as far as thinking of ways on how to make more money, how to save more time or buy more time back, because a lot of people I know make six figures. I mean, the older that I get, I'm starting to know more and more people with six figures, but the time component of that doesn't correlate. Like, I'll meet people with six figures, but they're working 70 hours a week, or they may have all the time in the world and be broke. Like, you want to have both. And any of my friends who know me know that time is much more important than money to me. The time I get to spend with Tay, the time I get to spend with my family, that is so much more important than how I can finesse a trip in an instant. That is more important than any amount of money, because we all have an expiration date, and where we spend eternity is much more where we spend in the physical, and that's always been my thing. So please focus on taking your time to a 10x, and also your money. But if you had to choose, I would rather have 10x time than 10x money. So here we are going to the next book. Here you go, babe.
All right, I don't want to butcher the title of this book, so because all of John Maxwell's books kind of align in a sense. Would you agree? Yeah. They're kind of very similar, but we read one particular book. It was like 21 Laws of something that deals with leadership. So I'm gonna just group all of John Maxwell's books into one, since I don't want to butcher the name. But anyway, this particular book, I gotta say, it would not have me where I am today. I've grown a lot in the past couple of years. My parents used to call me a follower more than, a leader in a sense. So that's something that I've been working on myself. And I don't think I was a follower, but I always look to somebody like as a second opinion rather than just making that initial decision in a sense. But anyway, so just, if you ever want to develop really good leadership skills and how to work with people, I think that any of John Maxwell's books would be good for you. Leadership skills are very good in a sense of running a business, or just in your job in particular. It teaches you just how to talk with people. Help me out. What else do you think?
Well, it teaches you how to run a team. It teaches you how to challenge your team to think outside the box, and it also teaches you a lot of patience within the team, because he talks about, in one of the books, he talks about the lid, and everyone has a lid, but you have to take the lid off of someone else, or you have to take your own lid off, because you'll only grow to your lid. So whatever your income expectation is, whatever your time expectation is, you have a cap. And I talk to some of my friends, we're all real competitive. They say, man, I don't have no cap, son, I don't have no cap. But you do. Everyone has a cap, but you have to take the cap off once you reach that capacity.
And when people start to see, people will start to see you grow and see you change, and how, just everything about you is going to change. And what's cool about it is you're able to attract others who are just like you. Some of our best friends who actually live in Atlanta with us, we're all like-minded. We all have the same leadership skills, and we're always looking to meet up with other people. They might tell us about this particular person they might met, or vice versa, and we can actually go and sit down with them and just talk about a couple of things and just bounce ideas off each other. You don't want to sit and bounce ideas off of the most mediocre person, because they're not really pushing you and building you up to your fullest potential. So that's all I have to say about John Maxwell's books. But you. Okay.
So the next book, this is one of my personal favorite. This isn't the most recent book I've read, but it's one of the most recent, and it's called The 80-20 Principle by, what's this guy's name? I cannot remember his name, but shout out to the homie who wrote the book. I listened to this one on Audible as well, so this was with her free trial, and then on mine I did the 4-hour work week. But nevertheless, that book in itself, the 80-20 principle, simply means less is more. And I never forget, I listened to Drake's album, The Pound Cake, and Jay-Z said, less is more, there's plenty of us. And at first I didn't get it, but reading that book, I understood how much less is more. And he said you wear 80% of your 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. Case in point, we probably wear our swim trunks twice or 3 times a year based on how often we go by the water. So that is very rare that we do this, but this is subject to change based on our lifestyle. But there's just an example. You talk to 20% of the people on your phone 80% of the time, and when you have a team, whether it's sports, whether it's business, whatever, 20% of the people produce 80% of the output. And so the whole idea is to take that 20% and multiply it, because, for instance, 20% of the things that you do every day brings 80% of the results. And even in a relationship, we love each other dearly, but 20% of the things that she does pisses me off and vice versa. But you can't let that 80%, that 20% overpower the 80. And so you just have to focus on what is the 20% of the things that you do every day, and how is that going to get 80% of the results. And it doesn't have to necessarily be 80. That's just a rule of thumb. It could be 90-10. It could be 95-5. But the whole idea is getting more with less. And here's Tay.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't read that book because Blake talked about it so much. But he literally stole the words out of my mouth about key relationship tip of just the 20% that somebody's actually doing wrong, don't let it outweigh the 80% that they're actually doing. That was some of our discussions, and might have been a couple of different arguments that we actually had. And so it's really good to just sit down and analyze it. And if you can't think of it off the top of your head, make a list, write it down. That way you can visually see that this person is actually doing a lot more than you actually thought. And that can fix a lot of different issues that are actually going on in your relationship. But I think it's getting pretty dark, so you want to do one more book?
One more book.
All right, so one more book. I think Blake will agree with this, Compound Effects. What you think?
I was thinking that, so if we do that, we got to do 2 more books, because I can't leave this other book out.
Okay, well, we got to go quick. Compound Effects. If you're trying to get your life in order, this one is good for you. It's really good at setting goals, getting you on track, kind of like creating an action plan. And we like to read it at the start of the year, kind of just get ourselves in check, in gear, because sometimes you can float away. By the end of the year, you're just pooped.
Good New Year book.
So it's a great book to just get yourself in order. I will let Blake, because I think I know what he's about to say, so I'm gonna just let him go ahead and take over.
Well, the compound effect, it's doing the most minute things and constantly do those things to change your trajectory on whether you're going to be more successful or less successful. He gives an example on how eating one cookie or one slice of pie, whatever it was, and how that person went on to get diabetes from eating that one slice of pie because it compounded over time. And it's really just doing the little things that you do, and it's about being consistent. Consistency breeds excellence. How do I know? I can eat bad 6 times a week and eat good 1 time a week. I'm still going to get fat, and I'm still going to be obese. I'm still going to be out of shape. I'm not going to look how I want, and I'm going to be mad with myself because it's a personal thing for me. But if I eat healthy 6 times in a row and eat bad once, I have consistency. I have consistency and I have intensity. You can go to the gym 1 time, go ham, pass out in the gym, hardest workout you ever done. But if you don't do that for another 2 weeks, you're gonna still be in the same spot, if not worse. So it's about consistency. I would rather be the person that saves $100 every month than to save $1,000 a year and don't do it again for another 2 years. Because the person who's saving $100 a month is the person that's going to win in the long game. And so business is in the long game, not in the short game.
So another example out of the compound effect is his penny example, and I guess I'll go ahead and share it with you guys. So his question that he asked was, would you rather get $3 million up front, or would you rather get a penny that doubled exponentially every day? And initially, I was like, I'd rather get the penny that doubles every single day, because I feel like there was for 30 days, because I felt like there was some trick in the midst of that. What about you?
I started to take the 3 mil, but the 3 mil sounded like a trick, so I said, let me read more, and I said I'll go with the penny.
Yeah. So anyway, if you looked, he went into the example of if you got a penny that doubled exponentially by the end of 30 days, it doubled to, well, the ending total was $10 million versus 3 million. And so it's kind of mind blowing just to think about that effect. It's kind of like what Blake gave the example of just eating one slice of pie and leading to diabetes. You don't really know where it'll lead to, and it blows your mind about it. But did you want to elaborate on it a little bit more?
Yes, I just want to give a special shout out to Darren Hardy, and thanks to a personal mentor of mine, he told me to get the workbook, and a previous mentor of mine told me to actually read the book. So I'm thankful to both of y'all, and Darren Hardy personally, for that workbook, because it's really helped me get off to a great start in 2018. I know February 15th is the day that most of the New Year's resolution wears off, so we're almost there. We got to pass the 15th.
Well, it's fairly dark out here.
One more book.
One more book.
What
you thinking?
And I'm holding up the one because the name of that book is called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Shout out to Gary Keller. He is co-founder of Keller Williams Realty, and just a phenomenal guy. So the whole idea is, what is one thing that you can do to increase your business, your spiritual life, your relationship, whatever the case is, just doing one thing. Because a lot of us get caught up, I like to say we get lost in the sauce. Like, we're doing things that may not get us there. We're trying to do too many things at once. And in the beginning of the book, he has a quote that says, the person who chased 2 rabbits doesn't get any. And I find myself doing that, so I had to always put a clamp down on one thing and just focus on that one thing, because you can only be great at one thing until you transition it into something else. And he talks about fallacies, putting your eggs in one basket. He says to put your eggs in one basket and watch the basket. And and what he means by watch it is see other things that are going on, but stay focused on the one thing that you have. Because I see so many people just jumping from thing to thing, like Bitcoins, cryptocurrency, real estate, like all these different things that are coming on, marketing businesses, you name it. There's even, different small businesses that people go on to start. But I think you should focus on one thing at a time to be able to get that, to be able to be one step further instead of taking one step to the side. Because this is what really set the book apart from any other book, which is why I had to throw it on to top it off. He has a should-do list and a could-do list. Your should-do list is the things that are going to move your life forward and your business and whatever other categories you're trying to improve on. The could-do list is things like washing the car right now, cleaning the bathroom, put your suit in the cleaners. Those things that you could do, and yes, those aren't important. But if you have more than 3 priorities, you have no priorities. So you have to focus on what should you do to be in a better position than where you are. And I must say, this time last year, January, I was preparing for my last year of grad school. Tay was too. We were living check to check, and we still living check to check, but we have a plan that next month we won't be living check to check. And it's a journey. Like, we're not in the condo yet, so we're gonna take y'all every step of the way with us till we get our condo. And we wanna have multiple. And if you want to join the movement, feel free to hop in. Subscribe at the bottom of this, wherever you see the subscribe button. But stay tuned. We're really excited, and the sun's going down, so I guess it's time to get out of here. But this is a beautiful view. I must show you this. This is South Beach, Miami. Oh, look at this. Look at this work.